Okay, let's look at converting between percents and fractions. Now if we want to write something like 8% as a fraction, I said that percent means divided by 100, and when we're talking about decimals, we accomplish dividing by 100 just by moving our decimal place over 2 places. But we don't have to. We could just write it as divided by 100. So 8% is the same as 8 divided by 100, or 8 hundredths. And from this point, we already have it written as a fraction. Now we can just reduce the fraction. There's a common factor of 4 that we can cancel. Divide both the top and the bottom by 4. We end up with 2 over 25. So 8% would be the same as 2 over 25. If we want to go from a fraction to a percent, this can be a little bit more tricky if you try to just go directly from a fraction to a percent. Usually the easier way to go here would be to go convert this to a decimal first, and then go to percent. You could technically go that way with converting 8% to a decimal and then converting that decimal to a fraction as well. I'm just trying to show you the quickest and easiest way to do each of these conversions. But you know, as long as you get one way that works, then you're good. So 5 over 16, if I want to convert that to a decimal, I just perform the division. 5 divided by 16, which gives me 3.125. So 5/16 equals 0.3125. I think I said 3.125, but it's 0.3125. And then convert that to a percent, which means moving my decimal 2 places since I want to introduce the percent. That's 2 places to the right. 31.25%. Another way to kind of check to make sure, do a little bit of a sanity check here. 100% is equal to the number 1. 100% is a whole. It's everything you have typically, and that's what 1 generally represents. If you have 100% of something, you have 1 of it. And so if you're talking about this fraction is between 0 and 1. So this percent, you can see it's between 0% and 100%. So it's kind of a sanity check to make sure that you're in the right realm there. All right. If we have 6.25%, we want to write that as a decimal and as a fraction. So first I'll start by writing it as a decimal. Mixed number with a percent, it's really annoying, but you occasionally do see them. What I would say is just convert this to, first take 6.25 and let's convert that to a decimal. So 6 plus a quarter is 0.25, so 6 plus 0.25 is 6.25. This is the same thing as 6.25%. At this point, now we can convert this to a decimal by moving our decimal place 2 places to the left, because we're dividing by 100. We're getting rid of this symbol. We're going to go 0.0625. If I want to convert it to a fraction, let's think about where the easiest place would be. I could go here, say this divided by 100. I think the easiest thing would be to take this one right here and just use my place value. So this is as a decimal. Let me write that. Decimal. That's that answer right there. And as a fraction, well, this is the tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 10,000ths place. So I have 625 10,000ths. Of course, I need to reduce this number. You can see that 5 is a common factor because both of these end in 5s. And so let me just try dividing both those by 5. 625 divided by 5 and 1,000 divided by 5. We get 125 over 500. They're still both divisible by 5 because they end in a 5 or a 0, so I'll do this again. Oops. I said divide by 5 here, I just realized. 1,000 divided by 5 is 200. Not 500. Yeah, so I should have ended up with over 200 here if I had typed the right thing into the calculator. Alright, so 200 divided by 5. You can see I was thinking 200 because I was starting to write that one in, but whatever. Divide 125 by 5, I get 25. Divide 200 by 5, I get 40. So we get 25 over 40. Both the top and bottom are still divisible by 5. We get 5/8. And I could have actually taken fewer steps here if I had noticed something larger than 5 is a common factor, but it's not really necessary. Doing it iteratively like this, in several steps works. All right, let's write 3 3/10 as a percent. This is a mixed number, and you can convert mixed numbers to fractions, or you can convert mixed numbers to decimals. I think that converting this to a decimal would be the easiest thing. This is 3 plus 3/10. So I'll ask my calculator to convert that to a decimal. Well, 3/10 is 0.3. So we get 3.3. Now that I have this as a decimal, now I can convert it to a percent by moving my decimal place 2 places, 2 places to the right. We get 330%. Oops, I should draw that line there. There we go.